Welcome to Girl Dad, the podcast. I'm your host, Madeline Anderson, and I'm thrilled to bring you honest conversations with dads and daughters, sharing heartfelt stories, actionable advice, and real daughter perspectives that will help you be the best girl dad you can be. Hey, and welcome back to Girl Dad, the podcast. I'm your host, Madeline Anderson, and today we are talking all about goal setting for 2026. This is a topic that I am very passionate about, probably a little too passionate about if you ask my husband, but I love goal setting and I think it's so important, especially for dads, to sit down, reflect on this year, and think about how you're going to go into 2026, set goals for yourself, both in fatherhood and in other elements of life, and share it with your daughter. So today we're going to talk all about why it's important to goal set, and I'm going to go through my goal setting guide that I have for you. And we'll finish up with just some ideas on how to make 2026 the best year yet. Before we begin, I just want to say Happy New Year. It is January 1st, 2026 today, and I am so excited to share this with you. I think one of the most common themes that you'll hear on this podcast is intentionality, and I have a lot of intentional dads on here as guests. I think being intentional is one of the most important elements of fatherhood, especially for the girl dads out there. And goal setting is an incredible way to start your year off with extreme intentionality. So let's get into it. So, why are we talking about goal setting today? When it comes to goal setting as a father, it's not just about setting goals on how to be more productive and how to be more successful in work. It's about designing the life that your daughter is growing up in, because ultimately you create her reality. And the more intentional you can be around that, the better it's going to turn out. And so I'm a big fan of goal setting and really, really thinking about how you want this year to go and then working backwards to make sure that your daily habits, your weekly habits, and monthly habits align with that end goal. And on the other hand, if you aren't setting goals and you're just going about every day as it comes and you're letting life happen to you, then you're missing out on a lot of opportunities to carve the life that you want for you and your family. I think, most people, like probably over 95% of people, operate in a let life happen to them mentality. And it's really easy to do this. You just wake up and you've got lots of things to do. So you're just checking them off. And that goes on for years and years and years. And then you blink and you realize, oh my gosh, what happened? Right. But if you can sit down and reflect on your year in the past and then look forward to the year coming and be really intentional about what you want to happen and work backwards to ensure that you're taking daily and monthly steps to get to where those goals are, then you're setting yourself up for success. And I think this is a wonderful thing to help teach your daughters as well. So I would really encourage you, if your daughter is old enough where she can do this, and she can still be really young, but old enough to understand and communicate with you on these goals, then I highly encourage you to do this exercise with your daughter. And you're in luck because I created a goal setting guide for you. You can just go to my website, girldadthebook.com, and find it there. You can also email me at madeline@girldadthebook.com and request one, and I'll send it right over to you. It's the goal setting guide that I use every year, and I tailored it for all you girl dads out there. I will quickly run through the sections just so that you're aware of what it is, and then feel free to do it on your own time, solo or with your daughter. So the first two pages are instructions and examples. And on the example page, I thought it was helpful because I put in some real goals that I have and real examples so that you can understand kind of how to navigate this goal setting guide. And the first section of this guide is your vision. And it's all about what you foresee in 2026. I have 4 categories that I broke down: health, wealth, career/school, and family/relationships. Obviously, that fourth one should be number 1. It's extremely important, but I did just like the way that it kind of rhymed and flowed. So that's how my brain operated. And then at the top of the page, you have your word of the year. So speaking of rhyming and flowing, I chose the word thrive for 2025 because I thought it sounded great. And honestly, I can say that I have been thriving this year. I got married. I went on a honeymoon. I launched this podcast. I played my first doubles tennis match and have been loving tennis and really just having so much fun, feeling so grateful for my family, for my husband, and for my life in general. Thrive was accurate. And I'm excited to do this exercise for 2026 as well. So, in those four categories, I want you to set some goals around each of those. So, maybe for health, you want to visualize yourself at the end of the year. How do you look and feel? For wealth, maybe where does future you spend money, save money? What makes you feel wealthy beyond money in the bank? Those are really important questions to ask yourself. And I think this is a great one for anyone with teenage daughters or someone who's starting to kind of understand the concept of money, and having these conversations so that she can set goals for herself and start building really healthy habits of spending early on. And then the next section's career/school. What does success look like for you? What are some career goals that you have, especially, with your daughter? What kind of school goals does she have? Grades related, maybe, or something measurable and achievable. And then family/relationships. Who do you want to be spending your time with? I think it's obvious with this audience, it's your family. Um, but also, I think friendships are really important. So maybe you want to set goals around spending more time on the golf course with your friends, and maybe it's bringing your daughter along with you. We talk a lot about that. And I think it's a really great thing to keep in mind. So, where are you spending your time? Who you're spending it with? Are you going on family trips? What do you want to do together? More family game nights? What about family dinners? Are you going to set a goal around having zero distractions at the dinner table? So, yeah, what are your family goals? The next page is your 1 year overview. So you take those goals and you create quarterly goals and then monthly tasks underneath those. And the purpose of doing this is just really trying to set you up for success. So rather than just say, you know, I want to eat healthy in 2026, it's like, okay, what does that look like? What are you doing on a quarterly basis? Do you have a step count goal? Are you tracking your macros? Are you switching out some brands for healthier alternatives? And then on a monthly basis, what does that look like too? And then the next page is your daily routine. And so this is another just micro version of the last page so that you can get really intentional about what you want to try to do every day that will lead you to your yearly goals. I think this is one of the most important things because it's your daily routine that builds those goals. The next page is one of my favorites. I call it my ins and outs. It's a great opportunity to reflect on 2025 and really think about what you want to keep or add to your year and what you want to subtract. And these are really related to actions and habits or routines or opportunities or lack thereof. So, for example, my ins for 2025 were having daily, weekly, and monthly routines, checking in with my friends and family regularly, speaking my truth, and 10x thinking. And some of my outs were staying up late, saying yes to things that I know I don't want to, and bad posture. So it's been a great year. I think I've achieved all of that. And it's because I set it out in the beginning of the year and I said, you know what? No more of this and yes to these. So I think it's really helpful. And again, on that page, you've got your word of the year to write it there again. I think it's important that you always reflect on that word. And if you're thinking about, oh, should I do this or that? Does it align with your year and your goals for the year? And if no, then maybe pass up on that opportunity and really focus on the things that do drive you closer to those goals. And then the last page is the letter of intent. So you have to sign it, date it, and commit to these goals. And I think this is a really, really good way to end it because it makes you accountable. And if your daughter is doing this with you too, it makes her feel accountable. It drives her, it makes her excited. So, a big fan of the letter of intent. And that's really what the goal setting guide is. And as I mentioned, you can find my website in the show notes and feel free to email me or just download it from there. When it comes to goal setting with your daughter, I think it would be really fun if you made an event out of it. I would recommend either going outside of the house and talking over these kinds of things, like printing out the goal setting guide, going to lunch or a coffee shop and going through these things with her and having that one on one time where you're really asking her what she wants out of the year and how you can support her. If you think it would be best to do this as a whole family, maybe you've got sons and daughters and a wife, this is a great exercise to do together. This is not girl dad specific. Like, there's nothing about this goal setting guide that can't be applied to your entire family. I designed it that way on purpose because I think this is just an important topic in general. And your goals for your daughter will be unique, but those goals would just fit under the family and relationships category. And so your goal setting guide is going to look different than everyone in your families, but it doesn't mean that it isn't applicable to everyone. So I think a lot of really healthy conversations can come up when you do it as a family. I like to do this with my family, and we usually do it if we are on some sort of trip together early in the year or at the end of the year. And it's really great to hear what everyone is interested in and what their goals are so you know how to support each other. For example, my littlest sister was mentioning goals that I had no idea that she was even interested in. And now I've been able to connect with her on them and follow up with her about them and just kind of help be her accountability partner on some of these ideas. And that would have never been possible had I not organized this with the family and heard what everyone wanted to do. I also feel like these kinds of questions, when you're asking your daughter what she wants to achieve in life or this year, I think it really gives her confidence and it shows that you value her agency and her responsibility and her potential. Like, you're trusting in her to do whatever she wants to do this year. And like I said, a lot of great conversations can come from that. And on that note, you can talk about being accountability partners with your family, with your daughter. Maybe you pair up and you check in with each other on what you're trying to achieve and how it's going. I would also recommend doing these kinds of exercises every quarter just to kind of check in and see, okay, did I meet my quarterly goal? And how are things going? Am I in progress to do this by the end of the year? Do I need to reassess? But either way, it's just good to check in and keep a tab on yourself so you don't just set these amazing goals and then, the year end comes and you are like, oh man, I didn't do what I wanted to do. But it's the reason that people don't achieve their goals is often because they're not checking in on them and building those micro habits that leads to the big goals. That is really all I have for you today. So, because it's a shorter episode, I would highly encourage you to use the time to either set the goals solo or carve out some time with your family sometime soon to do this exercise together. Other than that, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. I am so grateful for you, and I know your daughter is too. So, with that, let's go crush our 2026 goals. Thank you for tuning in to Girl Dad, the podcast. If you found today's conversation helpful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow girl dad. I read every review and truly take your words to heart. To close out, remember, your intentional moments make lasting legacies. See you next week.